Right.
Yeah, you should have started this before, Tom.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I got here kind of messed up.
I posted my summary sheet of what I did when I filed mine online. I told you people that basically when you got to that summary sheet, after you filled out yours online, they show you a summary sheet. You review that and see that basically everything is what you wanted. If not, you back up and start over again or go back as far as you need to and correct the item. But you try and go through, and it may take you a couple times, okay?
Okay.
That's the problem. You guys don't read, you don't listen, you don't understand what you're doing. You're running in there and jumping off half-cocked. And a half-cocked gun will kill.
Patrick, in my case, I filed exactly as you put your summary on there, and it didn't allow. It gave me, that's the number that it gave me, 81-1.
Well, it doesn't make any difference what number they give you. Okay, they gave us 47. They were filling out 47s at the time. Other people got 47 for their estates. Okay.
Okay.
So that just happened to be the system of numbers that they were utilizing at that point in time.
Right, I understand that, but I was comparing the letter that I printed out, the acceptance letter from the IRS, and it said that I'm not tax exempt. And the one that my friend Eduardo, who's also in the group, his letter says that he is tax exempt.
Well, you always print out that summary sheet before you hit enter.
Yes.
And apply for the EIN.
Yes.
Okay, you look at that summary sheet, and basically on there it should have said tax exempt, not for hire or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it says on mine there, basically it's not for hire. This is a private, okay? You're not supposed to go out here and use their monetary type system of usury. You don't go out and buy bonds or anything like that. Interest. You don't charge usury in your private bank. You're not for hire and not for profit. You're not supposed to be operating like the government does. You're in the private. And then they see a private bank. The state cannot touch a private bank. That's like a private estate or a private enterprise. The state cannot get involved with that. No matter what they try and do, they basically, the constitutions prevent that from happening. Just like if you stand as a Christian vessel, an American Christian vessel, T-E-N, vessel, not a T-I-A-N, okay? A T-I-A-N means you are a member of a religious cult or whatever. That type of Christian. But one who is christened, EN, that means you have been blessed with your name and your vessel has been given the right of safe passage and safe harbor per the Constitution. You're an individual vessel. Therefore, you are protected by the Bill of Rights. But a Christian, IAN, is not. They're under a religious system, and basically that's what this fraudulent government we have out here is, a false religion with all their codes of moral laws, just like any other religion out here. Like the Roman Catholics, like the Episcopalians, like the Jehovah's Witness, like the Amish. All with their religious moral codes of law. You Amish, you can't have rubber on your wheels. on your tractors. You got to have steel. Stupid. But it's a religious law trying to control the people. And that's all that these codes of law are doing. They're religious codes, and they're trying to control you. Now, I gave you the Form 1455 and the 1522 forms. You also need to get that individual banker's EIN. You need your estate EIN, and you need your Foreign Grantor Trust EIN. Then you become the fiduciary over those using your individual banker's EIN. Now you go into probate court, either at the federal level or at the state level, county court, district courts, or whatever at the state level, bankruptcy court at the federal level. That's what the bankruptcy court really is. It's a probate court. They're probating your securities. Now, in some cases, you got to look at some of these documents out here, but you can go in and do a search about probate. I'll have Tom post a couple documents up on the site for you to study and read over. One of them is out of Missouri. Okay, talking about jurisdiction of the federal courts and everything else in the process. And see, the federal has jurisdiction if it involves a state-to-state or out-of-state transaction, or if it's strictly at the federal level. And in a lot of cases, most of these items are out of state also, because basically they're dealing with securities that are going across state lines. In a lot of cases, going to the DTC because there are bonds associated with it. So basically that's international or inter-nation transactions. So the federal bankruptcy court should have jurisdiction over all of it. Any bonds that the state writes, the state has to process those bonds through their insurance companies over to the DTC out into the market world. The state's insurance division writes the bonds, but they can't sell the bonds necessarily all to the state people. So they go out of state. You got to think about these things. How does the money system really work? That's what I've been trying to stress upon you people to start thinking about. Don't just get to a one point and stop. This thing is an octopus that is bigger than you can imagine. But you can take it down, but you have to take it several steps at a time. But also open your mind up and look broadly at this prospect. You got to have peripheral vision and see what's coming against you on the side. And then see about some of the things that we've put in place to stop some of these things already. You basically, like I said, you get that baptismal certificate. That is your christening document, that you are blessed with your name. Now you have ownership of that name, and your vessel has been blessed to operate under the United States of America flag on the high seas, fully protected. But if you go out there and try any other flag, you're not going to be protected. You try and be a rogue, not protected by the Constitution, and you're going to get just that. You're going to be a rogue, and you're not going to have any protections. The constitutions were all set up as banking charters because everything out here operates in the banking world of commerce. Not commercial commerce, but commerce. Banking is also classified as barter, brokering, taking one item and converting it into something else. Nothing more. That's all that money is. It's basically something that's converted into a paper script and then utilized to turn around and hand over to somebody else. Instead of taking 50 bushels of soybeans to the grocery store to buy your food, you take a piece of paper. Guys have been arguing about lawful money out here for years. I want gold and silver. I want gold and silver. I want gold and silver. You're fucking idiots. You can't swim across the lake with a bunch of gold and silver in your back pocket. But you probably can with a couple of pieces of paper that can make up that amount of gold and silver in your back pocket, if you put it in a plastic bag. I've really gotten a kick out of all the years that I've been at this, sitting back and listening to all these idiots out here arguing, being belligerent, and not understanding a damn thing, not wanting to. Their mindset can only go in one direction, right over the cliff. And then a bunch of people follow those same people that just want to keep going over the cliff. They don't want to try and reroute themselves around to get around that going over the cliff. You don't go out there and antagonize these people belligerently. You stay low, key, until you have the full understanding. And then even then, you're not going to go out there and be a belligerent in the system. You want to be a belligerent? Basically, you're going to be treated as a belligerent. You stay low key. You can enjoy one hell of a life in a low key manner. One of the guys the other day basically has been working on a bunch of stuff, and basically turned around and he's got a direct express card, told me. No funds in it, but basically he got a direct express card. Well, we've been told that that direct express card is only for benefits from the Social Security and different places, but yet it is issued by the Department of the Treasury. When we send these in, basically our 1455s and 1522s into either the bankruptcy court or to the Bureau of Fiscal Services or even to our state. The state, we can have all of them basically processed, all of our state items really through the bankruptcy court. And then basically the U.S. attorney is the alien property custodian. Everybody's been looking for that. A lien property custodian. Everything we out here have is under a lien. A lien. We have the liens. We have to perfect our liens and then submit them in to terminate those securities, those lien securities. And where do we take them to? We take them to the bankruptcy system. That's the probate court system. We use the Form 1455 and the 1522 and also our Form 56F as we're coming in as the fiduciary. We're also an American. When you're over the age of 25, you are a principal electoral trustee over America, over the Constitution of the state and over the national Constitution. These two banks, either the state bank or the national bank. And their religions, their false religions, do not have any control over us. Because that's a violation of the First Amendment. But you have to have your additional protection with that birth or baptismal record showing that you were Christian as an American vessel. And therefore, you have the protections of safe passage and safe harbor. Because that baptismal certificate is per the Roman law. And the Roman law is the superior law for all of most of the world, except for basically the rogue ones that are over there under Islam. But even them, most of them are still under Roman law. This goes all the way back to the statute of Nebuchadnezzar in the book of Daniel. All these other nitwits out here and everybody, basically they've got alternative agendas. They've got their own agenda, and basically they don't want to learn anything. People need to turn them off. Stop supporting them, because basically they're going to get you in trouble. Talked to one guy in South Carolina. They're already starting to round up like homeless people and put them in the FEMA camps. Now, whether that is a start of what's getting ready to come, I don't know. Or whether they're feeling nice and they're trying to give the homeless people a place to stay. You don't need to have a bank account if you've got that Direct Express. Or you turn around and you submit these in and you tell them to set you up with a account, a debit card, a Treasury debit card. I went into a local bank and tried to get one set up there. Well, I know damn well I showed them the Form 1455 and the 1522, and they wanted, they'd never seen these before. Well, I gave them to them and let them run copies, and I'm sure that they sent them up to the Treasury or to the Secret Service or whoever, and basically were trying to find out whether I was doing anything fraudulent. But they weren't going to get involved with it because basically they don't want to deal with us. They're in the commercial world of usury. And they could not make a profit off of doing this in our case. Now, some national banks will do some, but you got to be still careful because in some cases they will try every trick in the book and still utilize your funds, your credits. Because that's really all we're doing is basically stockpiling credits. It's not gold or silver, it's credits against the de jure treasury of the country. Okay, I don't have too much more. I'll post a couple things up there about the probates, but you guys need to check out your own situation on how to file a probate court in your or a probate action in your system. But primarily, I think it's going to be through the federal bankruptcy court, and I would file it using the Form 15 or 1455 and the 1522 forms and your fiduciary form. And you come in and you're going to replace the alien property custodian. You're now going to be the alien property custodian. So you're going to be replacing that U.S. trustee and coming in and ousting him and taking control of that. Now, basically, he has to turn over all those assets over to you because really he's been acting as a fiduciary. And you're taking him out of his probate fiduciary capacity, and you're coming in and taking over as the fiduciary. Now, all the assets that are under those items have to be transferred over to the new fiduciary. And that's where we come in and liquidate our Social Security account and other accounts that basically have been out there. Probate basically works both ways. It's not decreasing in value, but basically it has to bring in all of the accrual assets that are also going to be associated with that instrument. If the letter of credit was for $100,000 50 years ago, basically, it's going to have accrual assets that are going to be associated with that. So it may be $200,000 of assets, credit assets. That's all you want is the credits put onto a debit card, and then you can use that debit card putting your credits out into circulation. But right now your credits are being held out of circulation, and therefore that is depriving the country and only being used for the government and for these commercial corporations for their benefits because they're using it as collateral in the background. Okay, I'm done talking. Got any questions or anything? Ask them now. Star 6 if you need to unmute yourself.
So we need to be doing some studying on probate matters and just the general characteristics of it?
Yes,
Okay.
Everything is probate. Even these Form 1455 and 1522, they're probate.
Okay.
Probate is nothing more than brokering. Your chief probate officer in the state is your attorney general.
Okay. So we need to get familiar with
All of those guys that work for him are classified as brokers. All of these attorneys are basically classified as bar or brokers. That's what a bar card's all about. They're a broker. Series 1 through Series 33.
I have a question.
But
I took the test for a Series 7 commodity broker. I passed it. I never took it into force and became a broker, but basically I could have, but basically I didn't have, and then see, basically also the official seal or the medallion stamp is held by a higher broker, even in a financial institution. And see, all these county courthouses are financial institutions. They issue securities. Therefore, they can also establish bank accounts.
I have a question.
Yes,
Go ahead.
your local clerk of the court can open up a bank account for you, a non-interest bearing bank account for your probated items. The bankruptcy court could do that too. They're nothing but a bank.
Patrick?
Yes.
I
Speak
found
up.
that
Speak up.
I found that my baptism certificate I was given the name of my uncle. It was an Italian name, but my parents registered me at school in a common name of John, and all of my other legal stuff is under the name of John. So, how can I use the baptism certificate to my advantage?
Were you baptized here in America?
Yes.
Okay.
Do I have to
What's
go
the
change?
problem? Basically, you make a document up stating that basically they're one and the same.
affidavit.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay? See, it's that simple. Don't make these things harder than they are. Read the definitions in the dictionary about what you need to do. I've posted these things up there for years about words, understanding what the word means. That's the problem. People don't understand the words. And there's always, in a lot of cases, more than one meaning to the word. You have to find the right meaning, and then you have to stick by that meaning, because the corporations and these bar attorneys will try and always use the one that's to their benefit, not to yours. You follow that?
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Patrick, I have a question. In my case, I was baptized in Ecuador, South America. Do the same thing, but I'm also naturalized U.S. citizen.
Then get rebaptized here.
Oh, okay.
Okay? See, pretty simple.
Okay.
You want to fall under the jurisdiction of the American Constitution and the flag of the country? You have to be Christian now as an American vessel.
Okay.
Okay. I have another question. I haven't applied for the estate number, and I'm reading it over it. in watching and hearing your audios. But I have a question when it's asking for in line 7B and the SS4 for your Social Security number, and then when you click type of entity, estate, and then you have to put the Social Security number again, would that create a problem? Or
no, because you're going to terminate that later on with your going in with the 1455 and the 1522 after you get your individual banker EIN and you get your estate EIN and your Foreign Grantor Trust EIN. Then your individual banker is going to be the fiduciary over the estate EIN, which is going to be over the Social Security estate and all sub items that have been used with that Social Security number. Driver's license, certificate of title to your property, certificate of title to your house, you name it. Your Social Security number has been out there in a hell of a lot of securities. And all those securities are part of now of your estate. As soon as you get your estate EIN, you've declared your fictional person dead. Okay? And basically you're going to end up doing a will, okay, in the process that's going to be a last will and testament of an just a second. A holographic last will and testament of your all capital name person, your AKA persons, and your Social Security number. He is an OSTENSIBLE agent/partner to you. And you're going to do a last will and testament for him, and then you just sign his name, all capital, whatever. That you handwrite it all out.
Mm.
That's what a holographic will is. It's completely written by hand, not typed. The main heading can be, but the body of the will and the signature has to be handwritten. And when you go in and read the three definitions that are under that OSTENSIBLE, agent, partner, and let's see, what was the other one? Authority. When you look at those, you'll see that basically they created or basically set up this item using these agents or partners for their benefit. This was all done under a scheme